the nonsense that happened yesterday from the initial Athletic report that Zach Wilson is hesitant to play because of potential injury, to Rob Saleh having to talk to Zach Wilson, to Aaron Rodgers talking to Zach Wilson, to then Joe Benigno coming on his radio station reading Rob Saleh's texts to the world. What world are we living in, man? What is going on? Where am I? Where are you? Where are we? Where are they? Good morning, Boomer. How are you?
We're in the twilight zone. Haven't you figured that out?
Crap.
Holy crap is right. You know, I was doing Monday QB yesterday and all this stuff is breaking. I'm like, man, oh, man, oh, man. I mean, it couldn't get any worse. And then all of a sudden, Diana Rossini and was Zach Rosenblatt? Is that
yes,
right from the
that's
Athletic?
Right, Athletic, yep.
I mean, look, these guys aren't making this stuff up. I mean, they found out something. Somebody said something to them, and they went with it. And when I first read it, I was like, come on. Don't tell me this is happening. It was just bizarro land. And then, of course, I heard Tiki's reaction. My reaction is the same. Anybody who's ever played in this game is going to have the same reaction that Tiki has. You know, you're going to be insulted by the whole thing if, in fact, it is that accurate. Now, I don't know. I tried to make some phone calls yesterday. I have no idea how accurate it really is. Nobody really gave me any, nobody confirmed it, but nobody denied it. So that means that there's something there for all of us to chew on. And quite frankly, whether it be Aaron Rodgers, who saved the day again, I guess, or saved this young man's career, or somebody in this kid's life told him, are you out of your mind? Are you out of your mind? You're going to tell me that they're going to go back to you and you're not going to go out there and play because you're worried about getting hurt? Hey, man, this is the NFL, and people do not like that attitude. This is 31 other teams. All are aware of this now. I said yesterday, and I felt like when we got off the air yesterday, that they were going to lean towards Zach Wilson because, I mean, why not? Why not let him go out there and throw 50 times? Let him go out there and try to do what Jake Browning did last night for the Cincinnati Bengals.
Yeah.
And go out there and have a game of your life or have 3 games of your lives and put something on tape that somebody can look at and say, you know what, I can work with that and try to save your freaking career. Do not put yourself in the line of fire. Do not do anything else to damage your reputation, and then lo and behold, this comes out. And every player, and I was with Trent Green and Danny Cannell and, of course, Adam Shine yesterday doing the Monday quarterback, and all of us, when we read it, were just like flabbergasted. I mean, flawed by like, what? Is this really true? And there must be some truth to it because, again, I don't think that Zach or Diana would put it out there just to hammer this kid. But I just... It couldn't get any worse. I didn't think it could get any worse. And now, all of a sudden, Zach Wilson made it worse, it seems like.
Yeah, it does seem like. And I think that because Tim Boyle and Trevor Siemian, in the limited time that Trevor Siemian was in the game, they looked awful. I think that Zach Wilson felt emboldened by that and was probably like, you guys bench me. You put these guys out there. They were worse. You've got a horrible offensive line. You're not going to have me on the team next year. So you want me to go out there now after these 2 guys stunk and you put me on the bench to go out there and get my head kicked in by this awful offensive line that, these guys rushing me and body slamming me. So then that's going to hurt my chances of picking up somewhere else next year. Well, screw you guys. And that's what was going on in his mind. Meanwhile, what someone needs to tell him is this is a small portion of your life right now that is hanging in the balance. And you've got to make every correct decision in order to keep your career going. And just because those guys were bad doesn't mean that you're good. You've been horrible too. And they've just worked somehow worse. It's like being the 90-year-old that can jump the highest. Like, it doesn't mean that you can actually jump high. You all suck. So then he has this attitude, which he's always had a bad attitude since the second that he's gotten here. From that press conference, I didn't feel like I let the defense down, to everything else with the team not liking him and this where he came from in Utah that just didn't jive with this place. And now it's still there in him. It's almost like he never learned anything. Now, if he goes into Rob Saleh's office, it's like, hey, listen, I want the ball. I do want to play it, but this was my perspective. Rob Saleh, of course, speaks to the media after that. And he goes, the young man wants the ball. And I told him what I'm telling you guys right now, which is I'm just not there yet. If he, after investigating this and finds out that he's really chirping other teammates and the agent's telling reporters that he doesn't want to get hurt. There is no way in hell he can put that kid back on the field.
I'm not thinking that it's the agent. I'm thinking it's somebody. It's got to be a player. It's got to be a coach.
Well, that's even worse.
Got to be somebody that's leaking something to somebody. That really sucks. That part of it does suck. I mean, but at the end of the day, the reporters have to do their job, and I think that they did their job here. I'm not going to fight that report. I'm not going to say that was made up because I don't believe it. I think there's some validity to it, and I also think that there's validity to the fact that Aaron Rodgers, called and spoke to him. Now who tells the reporters that? Where does that come from? How do they know that?
I mean, this thing is such a loose operation. I mean, think about this. The head coach, he allowed, obviously last year, the Mike White T-shirt stuff. He allows his guys to go on Twitter and say and do whatever the hell they want with no consequence. They continue to do that. You've got these leaks coming out. Now, it could be the agent. I'll believe you more so that someone in the locker room is leaking this stuff out.
I can't believe the agent would even remotely even say that about his client to a reporter. No way.
Well, I don't know. I mean agents could be stupid.
Suicide.
Yeah, but he's probably thinking, this guy's got no shot here now. Like, if I could just get him healthy into the offseason, maybe he's got a shot with another team. I don't know if he's thinking that. But just back to the loose operation thing. And then you got Rob Saleh himself texting with Joe Benigno, and Joe Benigno reading those texts on WFAN.
It's brutal.
You cannot be sloppier as a head coach from a discipline standpoint than Rob Saleh is. To allow this, not just around you to allow it, is one thing. And then for you to do it yourself?
I mean, what is Joe Benigno doing reading text messages on the air? What is that all about? I mean, honestly, what is that all about? I mean, do you going to read my text messages to you on the air? Al, you going to read my text message to you
things
on the air?
in private? Absolutely not.
What the F is that?
I mean,
that to me is about as low as it gets.
That's because Joe, he said this, he's going to get mad at me, but I don't care.
It's unbelievable. I mean, it's like that is about as unprofessional as it gets. Now, saying all that, what is Rob Saleh thinking about?
Exactly. I mean,
you're dancing with the devil, man, and you're basically, here's this guy that you befriended, you become, golf buddies with, you try to give him a perspective because you expect. Rob Saleh actually respects Joe Benigno's fandom, believe it or not. I believe that. I believe that 100%, just like you would Fireman Ed, just like you would any Jet
I believe that, yeah.
And I believe that he is trying to go out of his way to be as nice as he possibly can. And just in case a situation like this happens, maybe Joe dials it back, a decibel or two. But what we have found out is Joe's genuine. He loves the Jets, and he's willing to basically out his friend by reading his text messages.
Yeah. Now,
does he have any idea what that looks like?
No, I don't think so. I think he's one of those things where, like a dog chews a pillow on the couch and thinks it's a toy, but it's not. And then you have to chastise the dog, and the dog's like, I don't understand why I'm allowed to chew that thing but not chew this thing.
Well, when he was reading the text messages yesterday.
Well, it was the one text message.
Well,
so this is what he did. And he said he ended up paraphrasing the text message, but it was essentially what Rob Saleh wrote back to him. It wasn't like he had his phone and was reading from it. But what he says is he sent a 6-part plan to Rob Saleh on what to do with the rest of the season to fix whatever you can for the rest of the season. And one of the bullet points on there was you have to go back to Zach at the quarterback this year. And Rob Saleh responds to each one of the bullet points, 1 through 6. And to the one where he says you got to go back to Zach, he goes, "Are you kidding me?" So this, by the way, could be interpreted a couple of different ways. One is, are you kidding me? I can't go back to that kid. He's essentially stabbed my career to death. Or it could be, are you kidding me? All you did was scream at me to bench this kid for 2 months straight, and now you're telling me to play him again. Are you kidding me?
Right.
So Joe took it as that Rob Saleh does not like Zach Wilson, and the answer was like, are you kidding me? I can't put him back on the field. Now, Rob Saleh speaks today, yes? Does he? I believe he does.
I'm assuming he does.
So if he speaks today, someone's got to ask him that question, and that would be his easy out. Two things he could do. I've got private text messages. I'm not going to sit here, with all sorts of people, friends, family, blah, 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 blah. I'm not going to go into what I may or may not have written to one of those. He could do that, or he could say, what I meant by that bullet point was, this is a fan who's been very local on a local radio station who's been screaming about benching Zach Wilson. Now, 2 weeks later, wants to put him back in the game. So I'm going to him, are you kidding me?
Well,
you're flip-flopping so much.
You could actually put me in that camp, too, because I wanted a compassionate release. I wanted him out of here, and I wanted to let him go. Just let him go at the time that you made the decision because, I didn't see an opportunity for him to get back on the field unless somebody got hurt. And, it's kind of the ebbs and flows of a season and the frustrations of the last 3 years. And, we're all over the place with this kid because, unfortunately, he hasn't given us a lot of room for support. But then, we sit here yesterday and, like I said, if these two guys can't play, if Trevor Siemian can't play and Tim Boyle looks like he looks, then you have no choice but to go back to Zach Wilson. Just let him throw 50 times. Let's see what he's got. Just tell him you got no pressure. There's nothing hanging in the balance. Just go out there and play like these are preseason games. They may not be preseason games for the teams you're playing against or for the players you're playing with, but you might as well just go out there with a free mind and just go let it rip. And that's where I came down yesterday. Now,
after all of this
now, and then to find out, I don't know if I want to play. I may get hurt. I mean, grow some stones, man. God almighty.
Yeah.
It's mind-numbing that this kid is like got a stranglehold around the franchise.
Yeah. And by the way, if he is doing this from the standpoint of you guys screwed me and benched me a bunch of times and now these guys suck and now I'm not sure if I want to play for you anymore because I could get hurt and ruin the rest of my career on another team. If that is his attitude, I don't know if it is, but if that is his motivation in any way, this team had his back and gave him opportunity after opportunity that probably no other organization in football would have. I mean, they kept throwing him out there. They brought in Aaron Rodgers. They made him the backup. He stunk. They kept by him, stuck by him, kept throwing him out there, never said a bad word about him publicly. So he can't now be like, oh, look at this. You guys screwed me. They didn't screw you. I mean, you had a million different opportunities to take that job by the balls, and you never did. So I don't know where this goes, but I really don't want to see Rob Saleh say that Zach Wilson is the starting quarterback at this point. If any of that report, which I believe it to be, is true, that he was reluctant about going back out there. That, to me, says everything I need to know. That is the guillotine finally coming down. That's it. Done. Forget about it. You said cut him prior to this. This would be the thing. I know Tiki said cut him after this particular thing that happened yesterday. He can't be around. And this is why, by the way, you should have cut him after you made him the third-string quarterbacks to avoid situations just like this. Just get him out of here. Lance the Boyle. Get him out. But you didn't. And now he's hanging around like that mosquito that you can't kill at night that's buzzing in your ear. And it's going to get worse. I mean, the Jets can make the worst situation possible worse. And I don't know how, but they do. Rock bottom is never rock bottom until they get to the core of the earth. They just keep digging and digging and digging.
Can you get Joe's 6-point plan?
I think he said most of it on the air. I do think so. Jerry probably has it. I think he. I didn't hear. I heard that clip. I didn't hear the whole thing, but I think that another one he said was that Rob Saleh needs to get involved in the play calling a little bit. So that's another one. So, I mean, it is.
You know who Trevor Siemian lost his previous job to?
His previous job, what he was at in Chicago?
So you don't know. That's okay. I don't care if you do.
Where was he? He was in Cincinnati. Jake Browning.
Jake Browning.
That's right, Jake Browning.
What did Jake Browning do last night?
He knocked me out of the big knockout pools.
Dude, he had a game for the ages last night. That kid, see, this is why, like, if you're Zach Wilson, this kid, was an undrafted free agent, I believe, by the Minnesota Vikings, your team. Was there for a couple years. And then the Bengals pick him up. They sign him to a reserve contract, put him on the practice squad, cut him again, bring him back.
27 years old.
And, he's 27 years old. He's finally figured it out. And, he didn't play great against Pittsburgh last week. It was his first start. But last night, man, that was a remarkable performance on the road against Jacksonville. Now, to his credit, he had everybody healthy on the Bengals offense.
Yeah.
And he got the ball to Jamar Chase, and Joe Mixon did the heavy lifting. They ran for about 160 yards, and, Jamar was just absolutely in everybody's face last night. So there was he had a good team around him, but boy, I'll tell you what, he made some great throws, some big throws. And this is a kid who played 54 games in college at the University of Washington, was the Pac-12 Player of the Year when he was there.
Thanks so much for watching the video.
Please like and subscribe.
And don't forget to hit the bell so you're notified when we're dropping new content.